times. First time I learned this on good times. Ain't nobody told me that when them churches I came from. I said, what Michael talking about in Revelation chapter 1? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I learned that a long time ago. But go ahead, this is what he said here now.
Verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters.
Wait a minute, we know what brass look like. Brass look like a brass penny. Like this right here, that brass. But Jesus, he was real dark. He said like burning the earth. He was darker than me and Mr. LC put together. Real black. So it's showing you that this, our man of God came through the tribe of Judah, came to Israel, he was a black-skinned man. Go ahead, bro. That's it.
Yes.
Now let's go find out what tribe Jesus came from. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 7. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 14. I was talking to a brother, he said, it don't matter about Israel. I'm like, what you talking about don't matter about Israel? That's where Jesus came from, Israel. He came through Israel. It matters because if you don't get Israel right, you ain't got none of this right. None of it. From Genesis all the way to Revelation, I think Genesis or Exodus all the way to Revelation, that's all they talk about is Israel. Hebrews chapter 7, we're going to start at verse 14, one verse here. Go ahead.
And it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
So if your Lord sprang out of Judah, you want to know who Judah is. That's the Israelites. 12 tribes. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. And one of his sons was named Judah. That's where Christ came from. If you don't know that, you don't know salvation. You don't. You still got white Jesus on the wall. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2 and verse 1. Let's look at Moses. I couldn't get them all, but I'm going to try to get most of them. Black is all in this Bible. I'm talking about black all in this Bible. You can't avoid it. You can't get over it. Yes, you can when you accept the lie. It don't matter. I tell you what, change all the white Jesus to black and ask me that question then. Oh, we're gonna have a real big problem then. What y'all doing? Y'all trying to uplift y'all race too much. Let's look at Moses. See what color he is. Exodus chapter 2. We'll start at verse 1. Go ahead.
And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months.
This is when Moses was born. Go ahead.
And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and dabbed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink.
Go ahead. This is when she put him in a basket, put him by the river, put him in the river because Pharaoh was killing all the kids at the time. He was killing the ones that were 2 years old and under. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the sister stood afar to wit what would be done to him.
Yes, sir.
And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it.
Mm-hmm.
And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrew children.
Wait a minute now. In the movie Ten Commandments, yeah, if you don't like me, the movie Ten Commandments, they didn't even tell that this was a child of the Hebrews. They knew that this was a Hebrew child. You know, they had the lady take the little Hebrew garment and hid it in a stump in a clothes, and they hid it. No, they knew he was a Hebrew. The same path Jesus went through, the same path Moses went through. That's why he said, ain't no prophet like Moses now. Moses was like the prototype of Jesus. That's another lesson. But anyway, this is what I want you to see. He was telling them that Moses, just telling me about Moses and when he was born. But I want to get down to this color thing. Jump down to verse 10. Listen what happened down to verse 10.
And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses, and she said, because I drew him out of the water.
That was Moses, that's what the name means. Go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens, and he spied on an Egyptian, smited an Hebrew, one of his brothers.
See, this is the time when Moses killed this Egyptian. He killed him because he was treating his people bad. So Moses couldn't stay there no more because Pharaoh was going to try to kill him. But this is when Moses went up, and this is when he met the Lord. Jump down to verse, we finished with 12.
No,
Go ahead, 12.
and he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
He killed him at the time. And he knew Pharaoh wasn't going to stand for that. He was going to kill Moses because he killed one of the Egyptians. But this is where he fled from Egypt at the time. Jump down to verse 10. Go ahead. Verse 15, excuse me. Go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian.
Yes, sir.
And he sat down by a well. Now the priests of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the trough to water their father's flock.
This is when Moses came in the Midian, and he was at this well, and he defended these Midian women off from these people who were trying to take their water. But this is what happened to Moses. Go ahead, continue that.
And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
Yes, sir.
And when they came to rule their father, he said, how is it that ye have come so soon today?
He was like, how is it that you have came so soon today? Because it takes them a long time to get the water. Listen what they call Moses. Go ahead.
And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherd, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
Why they call him a Hebrew? Why they call him Levi? He was black. He said an Egyptian came and helped us. We look just like the Egyptians, but it's a difference in it. Let's go get this color again. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4 and verse 1. Go read 1 through 7. Now this is the time when God started dealing with Moses. And he was showing them through some miracles that he was doing with Moses. Like I said, if you can't see this, man, you blind. Or you just don't want to hear it. Exodus chapter 4, we'll start verse 1. Go ahead.
And Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice.
Yes, sir.
For they will say, the Lord has not appeared unto thee.
This is the time when Moses was talking to the Lord. He was telling him to go to Egypt and free his people. Tell Pharaoh this stuff. Tell Pharaoh to let his people go. So after that, he said, they won't believe me. So God will show him his power. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto him, what is that in thine hand?
Yes, sir.
And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it.
So Moses had a cane or a rod. He threw it on the ground. God showed him. He turned it into a serpent. Showing him his power. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it.
Yes, sir.
And it became a rod in his hand.
Yes, sir. He picked the snake up and became a rod in his hand. Go ahead.
That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has appeared unto thee.
Yes, sir. He representing Israel. Go ahead.
And the Lord said furthermore unto him,
Pay close attention to this one now. This is how we're going to put some color into this thing. Go ahead.
Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
Now, if Moses was white, how you gonna put his white hand inside of his chest, inside of his shirt, and take it out and became white again? No, his hand was black when he put it inside. It came leprous, white as snow. This is where it became, just like this, white. Well, they gonna tell you, you're gonna see the Ten Commandment movie, you're gonna see all these cartoons, and they're gonna show you, depict Moses as being a black man. A white man. No, if he put his hand inside his bosom, or inside his clothes and came out, my thing is, what color was his hand before we went in there? It was black. Go ahead, brother.
And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hands into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
He turned it back black. Period. He didn't say like this, leprous is white. That's all leopard is. This is a clean leopard right here. Meaning that his skin is just turning. God showed him through his power by working on his skin. But what they tell you inside these churches, they never tell you that Moses is black. They always say he's white. Well, they show it to you in the history books. Let's keep moving. Why is this so important? Let's go to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I bet you're saying, why is this so important? Judging by color. It's very important. When somebody assuming your identity, that's identity theft. They killing our identity right now. The Jews over there in the land today, them some of the richest people in the world. Why? Because the people think they are us. All these scriptures saying, you help Jerusalem, you help Jerusalem, you help Jerusalem. They got all these preachers sending money over there. But what I read about, the Jews ain't rich. The Jews are poor, struggling, like we are. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. Even Jesus told us that they were going to assume our identity. Go ahead, brother.
I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan.
Who called themselves Jews right now? I ain't never called myself a Jew. When I was coming up, I was always Afro-American, African-American, color. Even on my birth certificate, they got Negro on my birth certificate.
Gentile.
Yeah, or the Gentiles. The thing is, Jesus telling us, he said, look, I know the ones that call themselves Jews, but Jesus said they are not. Who you gonna believe? The ones over in the land, or you gonna believe this book? We got to believe this book. This is the only way that we are going to get some type of freedom in our mind, because in our bodies, we're going to be in captivity until he come back and get us. Period. Let's go to 3 and 9. Revelation chapter 3 and 9. He's going to say it again. We're going to get another testimony of it. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 9. Go ahead.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Behold, go ahead.
Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
Oh, they're going to come to worship before our feet. Believe that. The ones that know this book, they know that these Gentiles going to understand that they're going to have to bring you to get a blessing. It's just that most of us don't know that. They're going to worship between them. We're going to rule them in Jesus' kingdom. But Jesus told us this, man. He was like, behold, I will make them a synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Bunch of liars, assuming your identity. Now you let them assume your identity by not reading this Bible and understanding. But we understand this Bible. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1 and verse 1. Let's look at the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm gonna make it simple, man. It's real simple. I'm flying through this lesson. Exodus chapter 1 and verse 1. This is the time when Israel came into the land of Egypt, and Joseph was in control. Go ahead, bro.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob.
Jacob our father.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already.
So this is when all the souls that came into Egypt time was 70 people. And we multiplied from 70 people to about 600,000 people while we were in Egypt at the time. And the thing I want to get you to see is when Joseph died, read the next verse.
And Joseph died, and all his brothers, and all that generation.
Before Joseph died, his father died, which is Jacob. And I want you to see from Genesis, we're going to turn to Genesis chapter 15, verse 7, and we're going to look at the funeral of Jacob's funeral. And we're going to see what these people called the Israelites and the Egyptians at the funeral. Genesis chapter 50 and verse 7. This is when Joseph was burying Jacob. But we start at verse 1. Start at verse 1. We'll do verse 1. Read a little bit of it. Go ahead.
And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. And the physician embalmed Israel.
That's Jacob's name, Israel. He changed his name to Israel. Go ahead.
And 40 days were fulfilled for him, for so all are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptian mourned for him 70 days.
Go ahead.
And when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spake unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found grace in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Lo,
Yes,
I die in my grave which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan. There shalt thou bury me. Now therefore, let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come again.
So Joseph was asking Pharaoh to fulfill the wishes of Jacob to go bury him in Canaan, which is Israel, going to bury him in Israel. But this is what happened when they went to that funeral. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury thy father, according as he made thee swear.
Yes, sir.
And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt.
So we talking about Israel and the Egyptians went up. All of them went up to bury Jacob. Go ahead. Listen what happened.
Verse 8. And all the house of Joseph and his brothers and his father's house, only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen.
Everybody, go ahead.
And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
It was a sad day for him. That's when Jacob died, the father. But listen what happened. Listen what they called these people at this funeral. Go ahead.
And when the inhabitants of the land the Canaanites saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians.
Wait a minute, I thought Israel and the Egyptians went up. They said it's a grievous mourning for the Egyptians.
That's right.
So they grouped us all in one, just like they do us today. We are all African American. No, you had the Israelites went up and you had the Egyptians went up. Why they confuse the two? Because they all were black. They all were black. This is why color is so important, man. It's really important. Go ahead.
Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan.
This is what it is. They confuse us with the Egyptians. This is why color is so important. But they don't want you to know that at all. Let's go to Psalm chapter 83, since we went through that so fast. Psalms 83. These people want to cut us off from our heritage. They want to keep us silent. They want to keep us dumbfounded. They want to keep us in them Sunday churches, keep us in swine, keep us celebrating Easter, keep us celebrating Christmas. Why? Because they can control you. Control you. And they've been controlling us for over 400 years. By their great-great-granddaddy, Willie Lynch. That meant they've been working forever. But listen to what he say here, Psalms 83 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
Yes, sir.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They're making traps for us. What are they doing? Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, consulted against thy hidden ones.
See, they crafted counsel against the people. They believe me. We are on the government's list of people who are the most dangerous people in the world. Israel. And a lot of people don't know that. I know a few brothers in here know it. Because they want to keep us under control. That's why they got the FEMA camps. That's why they got them FEMA coffins. That's why they got all this stuff, because they know if we get out of control, they ain't gonna be able to handle us. So they're making preparation. They've been making preparation forever. Just like the Egyptians, just like the Gentiles, all of them white folk, they always make preparation for who? Us. Us. Listen to what he said right here. Verse 4.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Most of us in here didn't know about Israel until we start talking about it. You say Israel, automatically, if you ignorant of this, you'll think, oh, that's the people over there in the land today. That's Israel. These folks cannot stand Jesus. They cannot stand Jesus at all. They said he ain't came yet. I remember I was looking at the YouTube video, this little white so-called Jewish person said, get away from me. I don't want to hear about no black Jesus. That's a falsehood. Because they know, they see it in the scriptures. That's why they only deal with the first 5 books. That's it. Because when you start getting into Revelation, you start getting into comparing to the Egyptian, now we got a problem. They got too much stuff to explain. Too much stuff to explain. Go ahead.
Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Meaning that they are confederate, meaning they got to set up laws to control us. Everybody. Everybody. From the Gentiles all the way to the Africans. Believe me, I had one time I was in the shop and I was talking to this African guy, and he knew who he was, and he was running his tribe down. And these people in the shop I was talking to, I said, look, man, come here and tell them, am I African? He said, no, brother, you're not African. You don't know what tribe you're from. And still today, I don't know what tribe I'm from. That's why I call myself Israel. I don't try to say I'm from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, because I don't know. But I understand who I am because of the curses. And you know, these black folks still believe that they're Africans. Why? Because they see all these little pyramids and all this stuff that over there in the land today. Understand that the Egyptians didn't build that. Our people built that. We built that. We'll get into the next lesson, but go ahead.
The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagrasenes.
These are all the people that take the Confederate. Edom, the white folk, Ishmaelite, the Arabs, Moab, Hagarenes. All these Arab people take, them are some of our first captives. That's why I can't understand why a black man want to be a Muslim. Arabs is the one that first took us in captives. Those are Ishmaelites. That's the other son that Abraham had.
That's right.
Which is what his name? Ishmael. Oh, he Shemitic, but he's not in the bloodline of the covenant between Abraham and Sarah. His mother was Hagar. God said, I'm gonna have your line will be blessed through Abraham and Sarah, then Isaac and Jacob, all the way down.
That's right.
Not through Ishmael.
That's right.
Those are our first slave masters. Them are Arab. Well, excuse me, those are some of our first slave masters, put it like that. But he's telling us they are taking crafty counsel against us. But it's no reason for us to not know who we are today. You got too much information out there. Back in the day, we had to buy encyclopedias, but now we got the internet. Too much information. If you lost, you just lost because you don't give a darn about it at all. People don't care. They don't care at all. We're gonna end it off that. And I know we got a 4-part. We're gonna try to do a 4-part series on this thing. And we're gonna identify by the curses next week.